Hi guys, it's Jim here from Jim and Jay's videos. Final say, sorry, that's the name of our video, isn't it? Post Arsenal, it's Sunday morning. I just got up and I've just been watching the highlights from yesterday, and it's fair to say it's made me more angry than I was even after yesterday's final whistle, because we've quite frankly been cheated out of 3 points, and I don't use that phrase lightly, but looking back at both of Arsenal's goals, they shouldn't have been goals. I mean, the first one was a foul on Welbeck, definitely a foul, and you could see it coming a mile off. Suarez had a bit of a dodgy first half, and you could, as the ball went over, I remember thinking, just clear it, mate, clear it. I can see Welbeck closing you down, and he loses his first touch, and second touch, it's just a moment of madness, and he swings for it. It's definitely a foul, and I thought it was a penalty, but watching the replay, it's clearly outside the box, and the linesman is right there. And, you know, what else are linesmen for if not for aiding referees, you know, at calls that they're not particularly close to, although Clattenburg was quite close to it. I'll get on to Clattenburg later, because he's now my public enemy number one. So that was outside the box. And then the second goal, where Welbeck breaks free from a pass from Cazorla, he's definitely offside. And again, at the time, I wasn't sure about it, but looking back, he definitely is. And I saw a still from Match of the Day. The linesman is right in line with it. How has he not given that? Two very routine decisions that he's got wrong, and that's cost us. And that second goal was a real sucker punch right before half time, when Palace had been okay. It had been a quite even half. I wouldn't say, you know, they dominated quite in the way they did in the second half, Palace, but first half I thought Palace were in it and were even, and maybe deserved to go in, maybe only a goal down, maybe even level. But that was a real sucker punch. I know Ozil had a goal ruled out for offside that was actually on, but bear in mind everyone has stopped when he shot, so there's no guarantee he was going to score that. So Palace have been a bit unfairly done there. And in the second half, I mean, I don't think any Palace fan can come away displeased with the way that Palace went for it. They're completely dominated. By the end of the game, we had 53% possession against Arsenal, you know, a team renowned for having more possession every game they play. So for us to do that, I think is massive. We had 22 shots on goal, which is way more than Arsenal had. Again, you know, for us to be doing that against a team, you know, a so-called top 4 team, I think is very impressive, and we should definitely be taking positives away from that game. At the end of the day, we deserved a point, if not more. You know, we rallied in the second half. You know, I saw some Arsenal fan TV stuff, and they were saying, well, if it wasn't for the last 10 minutes, you know, we cruised it. Absolute bollocks. I thought Palace completely dominated the second half. Yes, again, as we've said multiple times this season, perhaps in the final third we lack a little bit of imagination or positivity, but you know, we completely dominated the midfield. When Balassi came on, we just looked a bit more direct, you know, and if you look at the highlights, he's getting the ball and he's just running down the wing and crossing it in, and it's very simple. It's a bit like in the early 90s, you know, when Solarco and we had Eddie McGoldrick going down the wings and crossing it. It was direct, but it's effective. And we nearly got a goal from Glenn right at the end, you know, a second goal that hit the post. So there's a lot of positives in that, and I think it shows how far we've come, that last season we had 2 very routine defeats against Arsenal. At home, you know, in Milan's second game, I think it was, or third game, a 2-0 defeat, and 2-0 away, 2 routine defeats. But this season we've pushed them both very close in each game. You know, they beat us 2-1 in the last kick of the game, start of the season, when we had no manager. And, you know, yesterday, they've snuck a result against us. I don't know how they've done it. You know, we've played very, very well, and we should be very proud of ourselves. And, you know, it's a sort of performance that makes you think we're going to be okay, because if we play with that sort of intensity, positivity, drive, and organisation against, you know, the QPRs of this world, then we should be okay. Although, as we know, this is Palace, and nothing is ever straightforward. But it's a very positive result. You know, some of the Arsenal fans after the game fooling themselves that they were in control of that game. It's just, well, classic Arsenal fans, I guess, really. But I thought Palace were good. I thought Jason Punchin had his best game I've seen possibly ever in a Palace shirt. And, you know, I can't believe we've never thought about playing him in that deeper defensive midfield role alongside Ledley, but he absolutely thrives in it. That extra space, you know, to sort of get on the ball. He's brilliant. How have we never thought about that? He had such a good game. Just getting a bit more space. You know, he would drive forward at times. He was using the right passes. I thought he was man of the match by an absolute mile, but I thought you know, to be honest, everyone had a good game. Soiree got into it in the second half, and you know, going forward, he's very good. Defensively, I think he still needs to kind of find himself a bit, and certainly in the first half, it looked like his head wasn't quite in it. But you know, we'll let him settle. I'm sure he's a good player, and you know, we'll see what happens, because I think there's certainly potential there. I thought Wilf had an excellent game again. Continues to grow each game, doesn't he? Look more like the Wilf that we know from a couple of years ago. Daly, I just think is lost a bit out on the wing sometimes, and looked a bit more effective in the middle. But I do understand why he's played there. But I think if you're getting Balassi and Wilf back to full form and fitness on the wings, those are your guys. And then Shamak, if he comes back from injury, you know, we're looking at a really good side. No, Jednak, I know had a couple of injuries, but you're starting to ask, you know, where does he get back in? You know, I would still play him because it's Jedi, but you know, with Punch now in the middle playing well, you know, we've got a cliched headache that you want to have for a manager. Anyway, I'm still annoyed at Clattenburg, who I just think he's one of the worst officials we have. You know, and he just bows to the pressure of big teams, and he just I don't know. He wants to be. I don't know. I just think he's very poor, and I think he's lost us that game. Anyway, we played very well, and I think we should be proud of that. So I'm off to go and have a cup of tea and try and a bath and relax. But here's Jay from the Eagles Beat with his thoughts on Palace's defeat to Arsenal. And we'll see you next week after the next game, which I can't. Oh, I think it's West Ham away. It's like 50 quid to go and watch West Ham. It's at Upton Park. Absolute joke. Anyway, we'll see you after that game. So thanks for watching and goodbye.
Hey guys, welcome back to our latest video, and we're looking back at the Arsenal game. A result yesterday which perhaps was expected. An Arsenal team visited Selhurst Park, which, yeah, they're a good side. Early goal for Arsenal from a penalty spot, which was arguably first contact made outside the box, but Welbeck ended up falling into the box. So, big question mark as to whether it was a penalty. Most people would have given it, but it was harsh. Disappointed a little bit with Soiree for not getting rid of the ball, but you know, to be fair, didn't play too bad yesterday. First game in the Premier League, his debut. But leading up to the penalty, there was a couple of incidents. You know, Arsenal were constantly you know, these silly little fouls here and there and slowing the play. But Palace, we came back well from that. You know, playing against a team which Pardew said in the press conference that anything we get from the game will be a bonus. But sucker punch. I mean, we were, yeah, like I say, we reacted well to going down a goal. We went at them. Wilf had a go at Monreal in the first half. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a familiar story for Palace in that the final ball, particularly at home, he's not really there. I mean, Wilf, you know, did some good stuff. You know, attacked the fullback well, which you expect him to do as a winger. But the ball in was either overhit or not finding the player in the box, unfortunately. But you know, midfield we were missing a few players. We had much in the middle. Ledley played well, but we took the game to Arsenal. A bit of a sucker punch before half time. They went 2-0 up. Great through ball to well, but arguably offside in fact. But you know, Speroni should have done well, better with the save. Some people say yes, some people say no. I don't know. I think it caught him out a bit. Bit of the opposite to the Liverpool game, really. Sturridge goal went through his legs. At least he got to this one, but he parried it right into the path of Giroud. You would hope a keeper would parry it away to safety, but you know, it's another little question mark against Speroni. I love the guy, but there are calls for him, you know, for Hennessy to come in. But Hennessy still got to prove himself, so difficult one there. But you know, second half we had a go at Arsenal. We battled well, you know, against them, and you know, towards the end of the game, they were really playing deep, and you know, we were penning them back into the area. Introduction of Balassi was, you know, kind of changed the game a little, gave us a bit more impetus. He was getting past the defender and putting the ball in. You know, a lot of time there's only Gale in the middle. Fraser Campbell had gone off for injury, which hopefully he's not going to be out for too long, because he worked his backside off yesterday and really played well. A couple of goals he's had in the last couple of games, and worked well for us yesterday until he went off with injury. But Balassi came on, gave us a little bit something extra, doing something Wilf wasn't particularly doing, or getting the ball into the box. But again, there wasn't really anybody there. Gal had a good effort from a real good Soiree cross, actually, real deep cross that was. But the introduction of Murray and Amiobi 2-0 down, Pardew went for it, and fair play to the guy. Not much to lose, but he sensed that we could perhaps get something from the game, and you know, a late goal from Murray. I think it was a few minutes into injury time. Fully deserved in my view. Murray came on, made a bit of an impact, got himself stuck in there, I said Amiobi, and yeah, we deserved the goal back at least. But you know, at the end, Murray hitting the post like he did, and the ball coming off the inside of the post straight to the keeper. I feel a bit disappointed that we didn't get anything out of the game in the end. You know, when it's a game where it's, you know, we're not challenging the top teams, we're not playing against, you know, we're not fighting for position for these teams. But I think there's a lot to take from yesterday's game. A lot of positives. I think the only negative was Suarez's performance, perhaps, maybe Speroni a little bit, but you know, that's being highly critical, and I think we've got a lot to, you know, a lot of positives to take from yesterday's game, with you know, a few players come back in. The likes of Yednat to come back in. Shamat was missing yesterday as well, so I'm personally very positive about the game. Not, you know, feeling disappointed coming away from a game against Arsenal at home to feel aggrieved that we didn't get any points out of it is, you know, is a real good step into the right direction for us. So. Yeah, fingers crossed we go away to West Ham next week, and obviously we play better away from home at the moment, so hopefully we can nick something there. But I'm very happy with how we performed yesterday, how we reacted to going a goal down, and we move on to West Ham next week. So thanks for watching. Leave your messages for us as ever on Twitter, Facebook, and on Palace Fan TV YouTube channel, and we'll be back with you next week for another video. Cheers.